I never really got into anime. I always thought the genre was just not for me. Until about 2 months ago, I was highly recommended to watch Attack on Titan. Apparently there's a rule book for new fans to not watch AOT as their first anime, and I kinda see why. I watched it all in dub. I know that's something fans despise, as most anime dubs don't really match the sub, but I think the voice actors did a phenomenal job on adapting who the characters are from the sub version. I was originally going to do an entire breakdown of the entire show, giving my thoughts on what I loved and what I didn't. Probably more 99 or even 100 on the positive side. That's how good the show was. And the video would be like 5 hours long because the show creates compelling arcs for each character through season 1 to 4. So instead, I will probably have multiple videos really draining that content from this one show.
And here we go.
If you ever wondered who my top 3 favorite characters are, all of them are inspirational leaders. Optimus Prime, Caesar, and now Erwin Smith. They put themselves first on the front lines but carry the strongest will and aura, and possess characteristics that encourage others around to a certain cause. With all these qualities, it's no different to Erwin Smith, the leader of the Scout Regiment. Filled with determination, intelligence, prefers high risk, high reward, even in the most damning low situations when all is lost. Yeah, in Attack on Titan, when soldiers get brutally eaten every other episode. I suggest to not have a favorite character in the first 10. 90% of them will most likely die. It's awful yet realistic. Some will feel traumatized seeing their peers gone in the blink and carelessly put themselves and others at risk from losing their friends in battle. Even the world's strongest soldier has his moments of emotion getting the best of him. Now this does not prove Erwin is some emotionless leader who feels nothing when those he leads perish every second. He just doesn't allow his personal feelings get the best of him in a fight. But yeah, you will see at the end of his arc, he does feel guilt and a moment of weakness when all the walls have crunched him. Just like it did with Caesar and just like it did with Optimus Prime. But what makes Erwin the embodiment of a realistic yet a strong leader? In the eyes of his peers, yet his body count is enormous in the amount of gambles he's taken all for this truth ahead of those walls.
This operation has officially begun! All troops, switch to ODM gear!
Through season 1 to 3, we witness various scenarios and battles where Erwin is dissecting situations like a ball game. The court proceeding really encapsulates how calculated Erwin's brain is. It's like a calculator mixed with a time machine for how many events have worked to his advantage. Eren in the middle of his supporters and deniers. This is the first of Erwin taking the uttermost length by having Eren get the taste of Levi's boots stomping him repeatedly. Erwin knew the core would emotionally break Eren, given how much Eren acts like a hothead. Having Levi beat the living crap out of Eren with no power to fight back shows the core the scouts have full control of him and his power to be handled for their pursuits. No hard feelings in the end though.
Eren, I'm glad that you're on our team.
This is Erwin playing chess, whether outsmarting or tactically playing his pieces, like he's read his opponents before he's even seen them. He's smart and the writing revolves around the character Erwin when his moment arrives. His Simon refuses to dumb his character down in order to progress the plot without assassinating Erwin's qualities, which makes him the commander he is. Erwin lays multiple contingency plans in case his first attempt falters from his grasp to moving forward with his life goal mission. The moment Eren first transformed, it's revealed Titans can shift in and out of human form. The attacks on Walmaria were clearly planned and coordinated, but more suspicion of the sudden pattern of attacks halting the moment Eren transformed. Erwin's plan was merely a layer on layer to circle back on. Who made the first attack on the walls? The announcement for the mission and giving the recruits an option if they wish to join or not, it's merely a plan. He mentions Eren's home and a cellar as the main target for this mission. Even Armin grows suspicious of this bold move. You really see how insane and complex AOT really is.
Question is, if he's baited the hook, who does he intend to catch?
The writing delves on eliminating any contradictions to this very plan, and avoiding questions which start with why and how, such proving misinformation of Eren's location purposely, as the suspects would be thrown off guard any questions of Eren's whereabouts. The plan did work in hindsight, as despite the female Titan's escape, Armin was able to figure out Annie's mistakes on the battlefield, which gave him the benefit of proving to Erwin Annie is a Titan. this allowing Erwin constructing a second plan to trap Annie within the walls. Despite civilian casualties, it's a risk he's willing to take to avoid further devastation if they were to wait. Erwin is well aware of his actions, that it will result in consequences. He was ready to surrender, but his words were moved by the court as this tragic day should be seen as a step forward, and he had evidence to prove Titans exist within the walls. It's only a matter of time. And if you thought the plan ended there, no, like I said, he's ready for the next step. The Colossal and Armored Titan are still out there. He keeps most of the 104th suspects away from Eren, as it's clear as day he's the valuable target whoever the enemy is. And lo and behold, Erwin, knowing to do his research on Annie, he was able to bring out Bertold and Reiner as the Colossal and Armored. The show doesn't need the supporting characters around Erwin to tell us why he is a commander in the first place. Just by the steps he takes, proves he's intellectually gifted, and his speeches and words simply add fuel to the fire. He preaches taking a step forward to the truth, and is willing to take massive risks towards what he calls a true victory against the enemy, even if it means putting his own life against the monsters, such as the coup to overthrow the corrupted power, and why he must take gambles in a conversation with Pixis. We learn of Erwin's motivation. Being a student of his father's class, he began garnering questions of Parady's past. Due to the complexity and the danger of such a question, he received a vague answer. But later that night, his father provided him with his own theories, with damning evidence backing such as the contradictions within the books themselves, and how the government has been keeping Parady's past a secret from the public. Outstanding, he spoke too much, leading to a false of somewhat of an accident taking his father's life, when merely the government wanted to silence him.
He was killed by human greed, and by the sheer stupidity of his own son.
From that moment, he saw how much the people in power are scoundrels filled with greed and only for themselves, costed his father's life, and the foolishness of a curious boy.
Your heart and soul to the cause!
Attack on Titan takes many distinctive steps in Season 3, showing the human side of Erwin. That there is a far more darker and conflicted being behind this some sort of noble sage through Season 1 to 2. We see how Erwin abandoned his humanity to be this tactical filled with monumental speeches and the playbooks he creates before entering the battlefield. He was easily swaying his comrades, including us as an audience, that we tend to forget. His gambles result in an enormous amount of casualties. Yet Erwin preaches countless times to Levi sacrifices are needed to be made for a further leap to victory. I mean, he is a literal definition of a hype figure that can get a turtle to believe it can win a marathon. He's a good leader, a great one for that matter, but despite the upsides to his strengths, he needed to become a conniving manipulator as he is filled with a selfish childhood dream. It's the realism to Erwin's character at full display, with the darker nature of being a great commander, which puts a new spin and context to his leadership role.
Scouts, move out!
The return to Shiganshina arc is probably the best written arc I've seen in a long time. An arc where we see Erwin the human and not the devil he needed to mask himself. When the plan is crumbling by each hit from the speeding boulder, Erwin sees his final gamble shattering right before him. A sense of realization. All the veterans have been buried, burned, or eaten, or even mutilated. This panel is probably the best imagery which can describe Erwin's efforts through Season 1 to 3, as the bodies are forming a mountain and above is the man who put their lives in his hands.
I have quite the view.
Was it for a dream, or was give your hearts a lie all along? And now he must choose. One is a coward's leap away, and the other direction is giving his own heart for the best chance for humanity's survival. We see Erwin at his low point, a sense of conflict from a man who was always determined, had a vision no matter the starry state of affairs on the battlefield. He preserved all his guilt, but as his dream is becoming a reality, and what felt like two sides on the same course, it's finally split. This is where Levi understands Erwin's conflict, and the pain he's been hiding all these years. As a friend, he takes it upon himself to carry the weight on his shoulders and literally commands Erwin to die in a way to purify his guilt.
I'll reach the Beast Titan and tear him apart.
What leads after is actually sort of a redemption for Erwin, as it screams to give up on their moments and dreams just like the generation before them have. It's a way of pushing himself in the shoes of the comrades he led for his own selfish dream. The words really came from the heart, as he really didn't buckle or yield when facing the morality of how cruel the world really is, and led and bled for humanity's slim chance at victory.
My soldiers raise!
In Season 1, we were said to believe Erwin was this straightforward commander with inspiring words who carries himself in an intense, confident manner. His plans going so far in detail in order to bring the enemy out of hiding. These qualities transcended into Season 2. Pulling gambles leading to many in the scouts being trampled, but the results proved to be successful. And in Season 3, a lot is uncovered of what drives Erwin. The truth of the walls and titans has been his ambition, so he can redeem his foolishness as a child. This is why Erwin was significantly important to him, specifically as it wasn't one step closer to humanity's victory against the titans but his dream. Only inconvenience his wish to know the truth aligned with Parity's survival. He's not an asshole who cares less of the bodies he piles like a morgue shaped as a mountain. Erwin actually explicitly states how haunted he is by his fallen comrades, eager to know what became of the hearts they gave. He may be the devil, but he is human when push comes to shove. When his arms latched onto the Titan's jaw, he doesn't order a retreat. Actually, let me just play it out for you.
I said advance, goddammit! Aaron's right in front of you! Do not falter!
I just got goosebumps. In another instance, when all hope is lost, he refused to be helped. These are many examples of Erwin as a human, not the devil, that Flock sees him as. The apparent death glooming over him, he has a choice to make. Be a coward and run away from the fight, or give up his dream for humanity. And in the end, Erwin chose his duty and charged to his death, abandoning a purpose he was so drunk on, a purpose that purified his guilt. Kenny's statement is one of the reasons why Levi chose Armin, as Erwin pushed and carried for this aspiration to redeem his mindless act as a child, which got his father killed. Why bring a man who's free from his burdens and guilt and come back to this hell with no ambition beyond the cellar, which drove him to extreme gambles? Levi chose Armin so Erwin can finally rest. We believed Erwin to be this perfect person behind the mask. Later on, we saw a heavily flawed leader, which a common theme in Attack on Titan, one must abandon their humanity to fight the monsters. Erwin adapted to how cruel the world is, abandoned his regrets, guilt, and conflict, qualities which make us human, so he can be that inspiring commander, a con man, a manipulator, so he and the others can move forward. To me, that's just fucking brilliant writing.